Welcome back to another exciting episode.
We are doing part 2 of the Military Aviation Museum. Now this is the tour part, and just to give you a reminder from the last video, there are a few areas of this museum that you can only go through and get to via a guided tour, which is included in your general admission. This includes several of the historic buildings and non-public facilities. Our particular tour group started in the very impressive World War I hangar. Now the docents, or volunteer tour guides, they share their knowledge about the museum collections. Now again, these free tours will include highlights from the collection as chosen by the docent and may include what's called the Cottbus Luftwaffe hangar, the Gox Hill Watch Office, the Army and Navy hangars, as well as the World War I hangar.
These rotary engines, and the engine spun. Every time the propeller went around, the engine went around. Okay?
The day we were there, these guided tours were scheduled in increments of about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in between. For instance, the day, again, that we were there was 10:30 a.m., noon, 1:30 p.m., and 3 p.m. Now, tour capacity is limited, so arrive early to secure your place in the time slot of your choice. And of course, if there are flights going on, there are some places for safety reasons you can't go into at the time. So let's say the 10:30 tour, there are some aircraft flying. You may want to wait until like 1:30 or 3 p.m. to go. That way you see a lot more than the people who want earlier because, again, of those flights. Now, as you see in this hangar, they do have the World War I collection. This is the museum's oldest aircraft, and they encompass replicas built to original specifications, restored originals, and aircraft with original engines that, put all together, provide a glimpse of the birth of air combat. This collection includes aircraft such as the 1911 Curtiss Pusher, the 1917 Albatross, and a whole bunch of flying Fokkers. That's F-O-K-K-E-R, including the Fokker Dreidecker, which is a 1917 triple-wing aircraft that was made famous by the Peanuts cartoon by Charles Schulz. This is the one that the character Snoopy interacted with. Next up, we go into the seemingly bland and unremarkable building called the Gox Hill Watch Office. But this building is more than what meets the eye, because it is the original control tower from the U.S. Army Air Force Station 345 in Gox Hill, England. In August of 1942, RAF Gox Hill was the first British airfield formally transferred to the United States Army Air Force under a larger series of agreements made between January 27th and March 27th of 1941. These agreements provided for American Navy, ground, and air support of campaigns against the Nazi Germany. Although it would not become a bomber base, as so many others would, Gox Hill would play an important role in the United States Army Air Force operations. At various times, Gox Hill was home to squadrons flying the P-38 Lightning, the Spitfire Mark V, the P-47 Thunderbolt, and the P-51 Mustang. These units typically spent about 90 days at Gox Hill, learning their new planes and combat tactics while practicing local flying and learning the geography, and generally lousy weather that frequently encountered the United Kingdom. After those 90 days, these units would be posted to their operational bases, and new units would take their place. For a period of time, Goxhill was also home to the 496th Fighter Training Group, which heroically overcame maintenance shortfalls, aircraft shortages, and challenges to morale in order to train more than 2,400 replacement fighter pilots for those lost in the European theater of operations. Abandoned in the years after the war, the Goxhill Watch Office would be purchased for the museum by its founder, Gerald Yegan, and relocated to Virginia Beach. This is the Fighter Factory, which is their restoration and maintenance facility. Now, it is not open to the public and is not included on any of the guided tours either. Next, we go to an original German Luftwaffe hangar called the Katmus Historic Hangar, or HAL 6. And don't forget to check out the aircraft outside the hangar before you go in, including the replica of an aircraft that was designed to run on coal dust, of all things. Now, this hangar, KL 6, was constructed at Cottbus, Germany in 1934. As with other hangars at Cottbus, HAL 6 was designed to be raised quickly and easily transported if needed. The curved arches were designed with no interior columns to provide for maximum usable space. The hangar was originally used to house aircraft for the flight school at Cottbus, but from 1941 to 1944, the demands of wartime meant that it was used by the Focke-Wulf Company for storage and as a base for test flights. The Focke-Wulf Company manufactured the FW-200 Condor patrol aircraft, the FW-190 fighter, and near the end of the war, the TA-152 aircraft that was assembled at Cottbus. On May 29, 1944, the hangar was severely damaged during an 8th Air Force attack. Makeshift repairs were made. Now, we believe that it was during those repairs that an individual performing the work as a forced laborer scratched an inscription inside one of the beams. During the reassembly process, the inscription, translated from Polish, means Anasia Wakla worked here 10/14/1944. What remains of this inscription can be viewed in the hangar when you visit the museum. As the Russian Red Army closed in, 2 Luftwaffe fighter wings would operate from the Cottbus field, at least until April 23, 1945, when the hangar, along with the rest of the airfield, was seized by the Red Army forces. Small arms damage was done to HAL 6 during the attack, and it is still visible on the structured arches inside the building. In 2004, the hangar was studied, measured, and disassembled for transport to the museum, where it was restored and erected to display portions of the German aircraft collection. And that is our end of the tour for the Military Aviation Museum. We really had a great time here, and I think you will too. And don't forget to come back to this channel for even more adventures coming very soon. And as always, have a great day.